Hi everyone, we here at Mathomat like to provide tutorials and help videos to help you better your mathematics and learn new skills. If you want more content, please subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks! Today we're talking about fractions. And what are fractions? Okay, let's start off with a bit of vocabulary. So, with a fraction, if I just write a random fraction, 2/7, the top bit is called the numerator, and the bottom bit is called the denominator. And for those of you who like a bit of interesting facts out there, the line in the middle is actually called the vinculum, and it means divide. Alright, let's look at how we'd represent some fractions. There are actually ways for us to show quantities that aren't whole. This can be things that are less than 1, or even if they're between two whole numbers. So here we can see we've split two circles up into equal parts. And each of these circles represents a different fraction of something. Let's use the example of a pizza. So here we can see our left circle has been split into quarters. And if I highlight this section of our circle, this represents 1 out of 4 of our segments, or a quarter, or a fraction of a fourth. If I highlight another red segment, this would also be a quarter of our circle. But if we put those together, if we bring them together, they would be a half. Similar over on our other one, here we split our circle into eighths. And if I highlight all of these, then I've highlighted half of my pizza. But it's made up of 4 eighths. We are going to look at how we can add and subtract our fractions today. Let's look at adding to start with. When we add our two fractions together, so let's add a quarter plus 2 quarters, the thing we have to check is if the bottom number or the denominator is the same. If they are the same, we can add the top two numbers together. So we can add the top two numbers together, 1 plus 2, which gives us 3, and put it over the common denominator, which is 4. So 1 quarter plus 2 quarters is 3 quarters. But what if our denominators are not the same? What if we do 1/6 plus 1 quarter? Well, now we have to look for a number that will make these two denominators the same. The trick to find this is to times the two denominators together. So 6 times 4 is 24. So we want to get two fractions that both have the denominator of 24, and then we'll be able to add them together. And how we get what the numerators are, or how we get what the whole fraction is we actually times both our numerator and our denominator by the other number. So here you can see I've times the 1/6 fraction by 4, and I'm going to times the 1/4 fraction, or the quarter fraction, by 6. So that gives me 1 times 4 at the top, and 6 times 4 down the bottom, which gives me 4/24. For the 1/4, 1 times 6 at the top gives me 6, 4 times 6 gives me 24. Now I have a common denominator, and I can do my calculation. 4 plus 6 is 10 over, denominator stays the same, 24. Okay, for our second adding example, we are going to add 2/5 plus 2/6. And this one will have an extra step in it where we have to simplify. So once again, we want our denominators to become the same. So we use our little trick of timesing them together. 6 times 5, or 5 times 6, is 30. So we want both of our next fractions to be over 30. And then we times our numerators by the denominators of the other fractions. So I times my 2/6 in the first fraction and my 2/5 in the second fraction. And this gives me 12 over 30 for my first fraction and 10 over 30 for my second fraction. And adding these together, we see it's 22 out of 30. Now, interestingly, 22 and 30 can both be divided by 2. And that's what you're looking for when you're simplifying. You want to look for any number that both the numerator and the denominator can be divided by, so we can make the numbers smaller. But they must both be divided by the same number. So here, they can both be divided by 2. So when we do that, we get a smaller looking fraction, 11 over 15, as our answer. For our subtracting, it's the same. I still need a common denominator. So if I do 1/3 take away 1/5, I still need a common denominator for both of these fractions. And we can use our same trick. We can say 3 times 5 is equal to 15. So we want both of our fractions to be over 15. Did I write a plus sign there? I meant it to be a minus sign. So again, I times both my numerator and the denominator by the other fraction's denominator. So here I times my 1/3 by 5 on both the top and the bottom, and I times my 1/5 by 3 on both the top and the bottom. So now I have my two fractions with a common denominator, and I can just do 5 minus 3 and write the result over 15, which is 2 over 15. And this can't be simplified down any further because there is nothing we can divide both the top and the bottom by. So with one final example for our subtracting, we are going to do 3/7 minus 2/14. Now this is an interesting one because although our denominators are different, we can see they're multiples of each other. We can get 7 to 14. So we actually want both of our fractions over 14, and we already have one of those. So we can just write our 2 on top of this fraction, which means we only have to times the first fraction by 2 to get the denominator up to 14, which gives us 6 over 14. Now this will give us an answer of 4 over 14, but we can see that 4 over 14 can be simplified as both of those can be divided by 2. And the only time you can simplify is if both the numerator and the denominator can be divided by 2, or any other number. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, 14 divided by 2 is 7, and we can't simplify any further than that because 2 and 7 can't be divided by any other number. I hope this has helped with your fractions. Please like and subscribe, and check out my other videos if you find it useful.